All right, so good afternoon. We hope everyone's staying safe and remaining healthy. Thanks for joining our session today and for expressing interest in accessing our AtScale Cloud OLAP model to analyze COVID-19 data. My name's Cort Johnson. I'm VP of Growth at AtScale. I'm here with my colleague, Daniel Gray. He's the VP of Sales Engineering. So today, we're going to give those new to AtScale, to our COVID-19 project, a high-level overview of our Cloud OLAP model, and then update everybody on additional models that we've made available for analysis, some new dimensions and measures that are available within those models, and then our expanded support of Tableau, Excel, Power BI, and Looker for those who want to analyze the model. For those of you new to AtScale, I'm sure you've heard me say the term OLAP and are thinking, OLAP's the technology from the 90s. How is that going to be relevant for me today with my sexy new cloud architecture? So the short answer is we agree that traditional OLAP is dead. We're going to show you Cloud OLAP. So an easy way to think about Cloud OLAP is you get all the performant ad hoc what-if analysis capability for your BI without having to do any of the time-consuming data engineering work needed to deliver analytics through do-it-yourself data marts in the cloud. So by the end of this session, you'll see how you can analyze COVID-19 data and make your lives as technologists and BI analysts a hell of a lot easier. So the highest of level, AtScale is an intelligent data virtualization company relied on by the Global 2000. As an analytics company trusted by the largest organizations in the world, we're in a unique position to help make sense of data in real time. Our objective is to remove the time-consuming data engineering required to generate insights that are critical to operating your business. In today's webinar, we're going to run through the value of AtScale's Cloud OLAP when analyzing data, an overview of the COVID-19 data sets that are available for analysis. We'll take you through some of the new models that we've made available, and we'll give you an update on some of the existing ones. And then finally, we'll just give you an overview on how you can connect live to the data through Tableau, Excel, and Power BI, as well as Looker. So our ultimate objective here is to unleash the community on this COVID data so you can better understand the impact of COVID-19 on us as individuals and as a community. For those that do generate interesting insights, we would love to talk to you and help highlight the work that you're doing. So we'll provide an email address at the end of the session where you can reach out, and we'd love to follow up and have a conversation with you. If there are any specific questions you have, please feel free to ask. We'll save time at the end for some Q&A. And if we don't have a chance to answer them within this session, feel free to reach out to us individually and we'll follow up with you directly. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Cort. Thanks everybody for joining. So we had a webinar last week where we went through and basically reviewed a couple models that we had started creating based on the Starschema data set in Snowflake. And we made some updates to those models, and we wanted to share those updates. We've also opened up Looker and Power BI access to the model. So we'll go over those here in a few minutes. I'll share with you some of the data sets we're after mapping to, and then share with you the actual AtScale model and some of the reports and tools that we're using to do analysis. You know, I won't make this a product pitch because really our goal is to provide the model so folks can start using it and start doing analysis. You know, and Cort kind of hit on this earlier. We're not a traditional OLAP technology. We do provide you the ability to do multidimensional analysis on any of your cloud data platforms without any really data engineering. And I'll go through some examples of how we do that, you know, based on the COVID models that we have. And then, you know, in general, we'll talk a little bit about, you know, how to access that data, and we'll talk a little bit about the additional things we're doing. So we're constantly adding new data sets to the models and basically making the data sets more and more robust. One of the big benefits to having something like AtScale is that we have you know, basically a universal semantic model. So this allows us to define, you know, measures, dimensionality, you know, hierarchies in a governed way. So if I plug in something like a Power BI or plug in an Excel or, you know, Tableau, all those tools are going to return the same values. And that's, you know, really important right now because you want to make sure that you have governance around how you're defining measures and metrics, especially with this particular data set, because you don't want to necessarily make a bad decision here or a bad prediction. You know, we'll talk a little bit about how we're publishing those models and how you can access it. But ultimately, what we want you to do is be able to log in and do analysis. And we'd love to hear what type of analysis you're doing. I'll share some of the dashboards that I've built, and then you know, we'll open up for some questions. So with that, let me just pop over and kind of go through really quickly. You know, basically about 3 weeks ago, Snowflake provided a data set that you can, if you have a Snowflake account, you can basically go in and get access to. And they had a webinar, and basically that data set is provided by Starschema, which is basically providing, you know, a set of facts and dimensions in the Snowflake data warehouse. So if I just pull open the Snowflake portal, and you can look under the COVID-19 and under their public schema, you'll see a bunch of different tables here. These different tables, you know, have, you know, there's fact type of data in here. So basically, you know, COVID statistics, and then there's dimensionality. So there's demographics, there's information around hospitals and things like that. And if you start to jump in and look at the data, there is complexity in trying to organize that data for analysis. You know, for example, you know, if you're looking at these particular data sets, the values are accumulating. So in other words, you've always got to grab the last particular row in a particular sort order to get the latest data for a region or time. And so you end up writing, you could start, this isn't super complex here, but you could end up starting to write, you know, basically analytic queries such as like last value and ordering and partitioning and all that good stuff to make sure that you have the right data. And then you've got to work through to figure out how to join the data set. So you're going to work through, you know, inner joins, outer joins, left joins. And eventually, once you have that kind of model worked out, then you can start to do analysis. And you can then plug in your different tools like Tableau or Power BI or Excel, and then you can build your model within those tools. What AtScale does is simplifies that whole process. So we've basically taken these different data sets here, and we've published a set of models. So this is a pretty straightforward model. This is based on the COVID tracking API data set. And we've basically gone through and built out the models in the universal semantic layer. So you can see here that we basically have our fact type data. So you can see it's got positives and negatives and, you know, some hospital information and quite a bit of other data within the fact tables. And we've started to build some dimensionality. So you have things like a geography dimension. So this allows you to start to do drill down analysis very quickly at the country level, at the state level. These fact tables have different granularity. So we're exposing more and more of these models at different levels of granularity. But essentially in this particular model, you can actually drill down to the country, you can drill down to the state. We have information, we've also linked in information around kind of state mitigation. So when did they start closing schools, and, you know, when did they start taking different mitigation steps? And you can start to bring all that data together now really easily within, you know, the BI tool of your choice in a governed way, so that if you have 5 or 6 people working on this model, they're all using different tools, they're all going to get back the same value, and versus, you know, getting erroneous values and then how to do debugging to figure out why that is. You just get one model that you can consume here. We've added other things that you would expect from a multidimensional model, like time. So now you can also do drill down analysis across time. And this also allows you to do things like time relative. So AtScale gives you the ability to do time relative type of analysis. So for example, I can do period over period analysis of the COVID statistics, you know, week over week, day over day, what changed. And again, it gives you one place to do that. So you're not trying to redefine that in Tableau and then turn around and redefine it again in Excel and so on and so forth. And essentially what we do is we build the complexity of the model into the semantic model, and then basically expose that to any consumer. And you can see we have 3 different models now. One's based on the New York Times, one's based on the WHO data set, and then we also have the COVID tracker, which I was just showing you. And each one of these are available. Anybody can consume them. You can consume them, you know, with Tableau, Power BI, with Excel, with Looker, and you can start to do analysis. And I'll jump into what that looks like here in a second. But But just to show you a couple more quick things, you know, we've started to define quite a few different types of measures. So you can see here when you log in, you're going to have, this is the WHO model. You'll see there's a bunch of different measures that you can start to use. So we have standard deviations, you know, population standard deviations. We have, you know, all the different types of aggregates that you would expect. So you don't have to redefine any of this. Just start doing your work as quickly as possible, and start doing your analysis. We also have things like calculated measures. So this allows you to do basically time relative type of analysis directly within your BI tool without really needing to do any modeling whatsoever. The last thing that I just hit on before I jump over to the consuming these models, a big part of doing the analysis is also performance. So if you ask a question and you have to go get coffee and wait for a response, then you're not, you know, you're not going to necessarily make it to the insight that you're trying to drill into as quickly as possible. So a big part of what AtScale does is, as the folks in the community, so as you start using the model, I'm using the model, people at AtScale are using the model, our partners are using the model. AtScale is just basically analyzing all the different queries and analysis that's happening. And we're basically doing all the data engineering behind the scenes in an automated way so that you're going to get optimal performance. So when you're doing drill down analysis, when you're doing drag and drop analysis, when you're doing different things in your BI tools, it's going to be very fast. And the reason for that is that we're basically building out all the data structures on the back-end platform automatically that will ensure that you get the best possible performance. So we want people to be able to get on their computer, do their analysis, quickly get the insights, and that's all done in an automated way. So there's no human beings cranking away in the background, building Snowflake structures to make things faster. We have that completely automated. And so when you do access this model, it's going to be very fast. So with that, let's just jump over and take a look at what it looks like in one of the BI tools. So I'm not the biggest visualization person. So I just built some quick, some quick dashboards and reports. But essentially the important thing here is if you look on the left-hand side, this is that semantic model I just showed you in the AtScale canvas. You don't ever need to go down here in the data source and do any modeling. You're going to inherit that model right over, so you can see all the case measures, the different measurements that we've built, and also the time relative measures. And then you can start to see the different dimensionality. So here's this, you can just start doing drag and drop analysis very quickly without doing any modeling. And I've built quite a few different, different reports here that you can start to do different types of analysis and ultimately a dashboard. And this is, everything is very, very performant, again, because we're building out data structures to ensure that you get the best optimal performance. And we can share some statistics about how we're generating those and kind of the computational savings that we're driving in our cloud platforms. So also, Tableau is one of the tools that we support, but you can also connect with Excel and Power BI. So quickly just build out a Power BI report here, and then build out, another really simple report, if you will, that should pop up here in a second. But basically the important thing is if you look over here on the right-hand side again, what you're basically seeing is you're seeing that semantic model that I showed you a little bit earlier. And so once again, you don't have to define anything in Power BI. You don't need to remodel anything. And then for those that use Excel, I think I read the other day something like 700 million users still use Excel. We have native compatibility with Excel. You don't need to install any ODBC drivers or anything else. You just connect right up to AtScale. And I've started to build out, different pivot tables. I've built out some different dashboards and reports directly on top of that data. And so you can actually just build pivot tables directly into that data set and do drill down analysis. And again, what we're doing is basically AtScale in an automated way is just looking at the different query patterns that are coming in, and we're using some machine learning techniques and other statistical modeling techniques to automatically build out data structures to ensure the best possible performance. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to continue to build out models. And so, today, as you look, we have these 3 models that I showed you a little bit earlier. We're going to, if you're watching the Snowflake data warehouse, you'll see that that they're adding new data sets every day. So I just saw there's a new Google mobility data set in there that they added that I'm going to go ahead and map in. And so what we'll do is we're going to continue to build models. We've also done quite a bit of work this week to start to build in new data sets. you know, things that currently aren't available in that Starschema data set on Snowflake. So what you'll see is you'll see more models from us, and we're going to start bringing together other data sets that we have access to, so that folks can drive even more insights. But the important thing is as we expose these models, there's no work that needs to be done for you to model the data out to ensure that you're getting you know, accurate results, to ensure that you're joining the data accurately. You're handling things like unrelated dimensions and things like that. And then you're going to get the best possible performances. We're automating all the data engineering that goes into that. And so we'll continue to add these models. We'll continue to build these models. We very much appreciate any feedback that you have. And, you know, if you have a particular insight that you've gained from the data, or you built a particular set of dashboards that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to see those different insights and dashboards. So certainly let us know. And so with that, you know, we do, I'll just pop back over to the presentation real quick and see, I think we got a wrap up slide here. Yeah, and so we'll have basically an email address that you can reach out to us. We can send you over the TDS files that connect with Tableau, provide you a username and password to log in. We'll also provide you the instructions on how to hook up Power BI, Looker, or Excel. And so with that, I'll open it up to see if there's any questions out there.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. We do have a couple of questions. There's one question here about if the person has a data set in mind that they want to add. What would be the process for adding new data sets and dimensions to these models?
Yeah, it's really straightforward. So there's a couple different things. If folks have a data set they want to add, you can do that directly in, you know, for example, you can actually build off a dimension directly in Tableau and connect it into our model. If you share with us the data set, we can also model that very quickly. But the process in AtScale to add dimensionality or to add new facts is really straightforward. We basically just jump right into the model, we model it out very quickly, and then we publish that model. Unlike traditional OLAP type of technologies, you'd actually have to materialize and build a cube. None of that is necessary in AtScale. So adding new dimensionality is a really straightforward process.
Thanks. And the last question here is just around how or what the user is able to analyze. They're asking if, sorry, let me just hop back to the question. Is AtScale providing extracts of data that I can use for analysis?
Yeah, so right now, the way the way to think about AtScale and the way that we're connecting with like Tableau is just an ODBC connection. And with Excel and Power BI, it's an MDX endpoint that you're connecting on. You can just do a select of this particular cube and extract that data. You know, most of the consumers of the models are just using their tools or the tool of choice. They're just plugging it in and going, because you get all the advantages of connecting live. You don't need to extract the data off. But yeah, you certainly can just run a query and pull back data.
Perfect. All right. Well, those were the two questions that we had from the community. And again, if you do have a question, feel free to reach out directly, and we can answer it for you. But with that, I know this was short and to the point, more of an update for folks on the existing models that you can analyze. And we want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us. Again, we're, like Daniel said, we're eager to hear more about the insights that you guys are deriving. So please reach out to us, as we'd love to highlight those the insights and the dashboards that you guys are creating with the greater community. So you can email us at covid19@atscale.com if you want to get in touch, and we can be in touch very quickly. So with that, I want to thank you, Daniel, for your time, and looking forward to catching up with all of you who are using the AtScale model to help fight the COVID virus. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.